Hello and welcome to this Friday edition of Cartooning Lessons Live with Dan Lietha. My name is Dan Lietha, and today we're going to kind of take a trip back down memory lane, for me anyway. And a lot of people over the last couple decades or so have asked me a lot of very familiar questions, a lot having to do with my career and how did you get started drawing and all that sort of stuff. And so I thought, I'll just kind of recount some of that sort of stuff. I'll do some drawing while I'm doing it, and then maybe some of you younger artists can be encouraged by some of the things that I've been through as a younger artist, and learn through some of the things that I've done, some of the good and mistakes that I've done too. And then I think this would be a kind of a good template for building some habits and actions and looking for things to do as a young artist. So with that said, oh, by the way, I'm a cartoonist for the ministry Reasons for Hope, if I haven't said that already. So if you haven't checked out our ministry, you can check it out on Facebook or the website R4H. That's R, the letter R, and then the word for, FOR, and then the letter H.com. So with that said, let's set up our digital drawing board, and I'll get to drawing. So let's do this one right here. And we're going to start drawing something that I used to draw when I was little, when I was younger. One of the stories that I tell about my early days as an artist is that I remember getting a pad of paper, a tablet, and I had purposed to draw dogs in this pad of paper, and on every page I wanted there to be a dog. In fact, I think my grandmother had purchased that drawing tablet for me, so it was kind of special. And later on, somebody used some of that paper because it was sitting around and handy, and I wasn't too happy about it. So that's the way life goes sometimes, and I didn't get to draw a dog on every page. And but dogs were a part of my interest in drawing. I loved animals, and so I thought, let's walk down that memory lane a little bit and draw this dog. Now, this dog's a little different from the ones that I ended up having as a young boy. The dogs that we had in our house were more of the wiener variety. So, and you're going to see another dog pop up here that's very important in my art career too. So between dogs and dinosaurs, I think that both of those topics really helped to form a lot of interest in drawing for me. And I think that's part of the key of you're a young artist or you have a young artist in your house. What are those interests that this young budding artist has? It's the interests that they have that will help them want to draw. Not that, we have to be disciplined and learn how to draw other things too, but it's those special interest things that artists love to express themselves and all that sort of stuff. So it's those things that you love to look at, your areas of interest, and those are the things that I think will help really motivate an artist to want to draw and practice. And that's really the important part is and I think that was a mistake that I made when I was younger. If I had to do it over again, I would go back in time and tell my younger self to be more diligent about practicing. I think sometimes when you're told that you have a talent or a skill or an ability or something, sometimes you kind of can rest on that, and then you get a little lazy maybe, and you don't practice as much as you could because you think, well, I'm talented and I'm skilled. Well, that's a whole other debate too, the whole topic of talent and that sort of stuff. But I do think that there is a talent and skill that some people are born with that other people don't necessarily have. Maybe that same level of ability. Look at mathematics and other things like that too. I think that God gives people certain abilities and skills that maybe other people don't have at the same level. Some people can just look at something and pick it up very quickly, while other people have to work very, very hard and more diligently at something. So don't get too, if you're a young artist, don't get too carried away with hearing those compliments. Compliments are great, and they're good for a time. They're good for a short time, but don't rest on, yeah, I'm pretty talented, I deserve this, or I don't have to do this, or I don't have to work hard, or work hard, improve those skills. There are so many materials and things available these days that I didn't have when I was a kid, and quite frankly, I'm wishing I had that stuff when I was younger. But God is sovereign, and I had what I had, and I'm not bitter about it. I'm just amazed at some of the stuff that kids have at their disposal. All the books that have been written, websites, and that sort of stuff. And that kind of gets me into my next little part of my advice to young artists is, and I am a voracious collector of artwork. Ask my wife or my daughter. I'm constantly collecting artwork that I find online, and that just means I'm copying files, I'm screenshotting, I'm if I see a video of or a DVD of a movie that has artwork in it that I like, gotta have it. And so it's that sort of thing that you see something that really lights an inspirational fire in you, that you think, man, that is so cool. I can learn something from that. That is a valuable thing to learn from. And I've got folders full of artwork, and I have bookshelves full of books that have artwork in them that I just love and read them and look at them and admire them and drool over the artwork. And and then as you grow older too, you'll learn, okay, this kind of artwork is really something that gets my creative juices flowing. And so then you start finding more of that artwork, and then you start finding particular artists that you like. And so I collect their artwork, and I follow them, and I find them online. And there's certain artists that are favorites of mine, and just in a mind-blowing way, I've gotten to know some of them too. I've met some of them, and so it's just an amazing thing, again, to access the smallness of the world these days versus how it used to be when I was a kid. You didn't have the access and websites, and you go I remember running to the local college library and looking through it, finding anything I could that had artwork in them, magazine covers or art books. And so it's a valuable thing to see art that's already been done by other people, because it's not just inspirational to look at, but you can learn from it. You can soak it in. I think even just looking at something is educational as an artist, because your brain, at least in my world, my brain is trying to figure out how some of this is done. And there have been days where I've looked at something long enough, and then I sat down to draw, and I start drawing kind of like the stuff that I just looked at. And it's not something I'm necessarily trying to do or copy. It was just, I think your brain records that sort of stuff. And God has made us with marvelous, marvelous brains. And so I'm just having some fun, just kind of sketching this dog here. Just kind of a warm up, sort of an exercise. And I think it's a very cute drawing, or not a cute drawing, a photograph. And that's another thing too, is you can collect photographs that inspire you and topics, subject matters that you like to draw, and get well versed in those things, practice them. And again, don't get lazy and just think, well, yeah, I can. People describe me as, yeah, he can draw anything. Well, that's nice, but practice. So I think we'll leave off on the dog there. And so that's a nice little exercise. Dogs are usually a pretty popular thing to, and like I said, I love dogs. I was motivated to draw dogs when I was little. And that kind of changed a little bit. And I started drawing something else when I got a little older. My teachers really didn't appreciate it too much, but I kept drawing. In fact, the story that I tell them is that, or tell about my teachers, is when I was in grade school, I used to draw dinosaurs and monsters, which is completely true. I had a friend that I used to draw dinosaurs with and monsters, Godzilla and that sort of stuff. Just fun, no gore or weird bad things that would be displeasing in that way, but we liked those big creatures. And let's see if I can have some fun with this one as a caricature. And so my teachers would look at my stuff and say, why can't you draw something more constructive? You know, they thought my dinosaur drawing was a waste of time, and that, or maybe even talent and ability that they may have seen. So I didn't listen to them. I like dinosaurs enough to say, well, I'm not doing anything wrong here, so I'm just going to keep on drawing. And I'm running out of space. Scooch this up a little bit. And then years later, it's kind of funny because I've drawn for books about dinosaurs, and that's been a topic, a subject matter of artwork that I've made some of my living in. So there are times where you should absolutely listen to adults and grown-ups and teachers and that sort of stuff. But then there's times too where you think, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, and I think maybe their advice is more flavor, more preference based. And I'm gonna keep on doing this thing that I like because it's fun. Now, if there would have been something morally wrong with it and that sort of stuff, then I'd say, yes, listen to your teachers. But it was a vehicle for my interests. And so today, when I see younger artists, I tell them to find out what their, look at what your interests are, and start building some practicing around those things. Again, that stuff that inspires you as an artist will translate into other things later on. An artist can't always draw the things that they like to draw, but getting that head start in the stuff that you really do like to draw, I think there's a value in that. And maybe parents can even kind of think about ways of rewarding children, young artists with, if you do the dishes and all that sort of stuff, then here's some art materials and some supplies, or here's some whatever it is. These days, there's lots of digital stuff going on too. So Um, and there's lots of digital stuff that you have access to today that I didn't when I was a kid. And at the same time, and you've probably heard me say this before, that don't let the digital scare you in the way that you've got to spend a ton of money to supply your child with all kinds of art programs and that sort of stuff. Pencil and paper are something that I think a lot of kids need to start out with. It'll save you a lot of money if you go that route too right away, instead of investing a ton of money and then finding out, oh, he doesn't want to, he wants to be a plumber instead. I say that because my younger brother's a plumber. Hi, Mark. So, and he never had any aspirations to be an artist anyway, but try to get a feel for what the young artist wants to do, how much they're interested in it. When I went to art school, there were lots of students there in the first year class in particular that they thought, they were pretty good artists and that sort of thing. And then we got going into art school. I mean, these guys were in art school, and they kind of figured out in their first year, yeah, this isn't for me, because you really got to want to draw. And lots of long hours. And so it's fun. It's great as a profession if that's what you want to do and you really, really like it. But there's all kinds of blood, sweat, and tears. I think a lot of people think, yeah, artwork, that's fun. It's effortless. And but the word is artwork. So there is work. It's just a different kind of work. It's kind of a thing where you're solving problems all the time and making decisions, and you've got to put up with a lot of people's opinions and their preferences. If you're working for other people, then you've got to take direction, and you've got to be detail oriented. And so those are some things to watch out for your child too. Because if you have a client and you're doing something that you want to draw instead of something that they are paying you for, then that's not going to turn out real well. So that's kind of a loose interpretation of that dinosaur picture. But again, we're just having fun, and I'm just kind of sharing with you some of the things that I did when I was a kid. Now, this next drawing is something. Now, the dog and the dinosaur here were valuable for me because they really headed me down the path of artwork, and I learned some skills and some of that sort of stuff. But when I got a little older, I started actually, well, I did some illustration, and I did some more cartooning. As you get better in your craft and your skills, I started picking up different types of artwork, and I wouldn't say I just did cartooning. I did all kinds of stuff. And that's another tip I would say would be to try to pick up as much art experience and knowledge as possible. I mean, when I was in high school, I took drafting class, and I learned all kinds of different things about perspective and using tools and lettering, that sort of stuff. And then I took ceramics class, which you would think has nothing to do with art that I wanted to do. But again, it was creative. It was something that I could use my hands and creativity with. Now, the thing that I'm drawing right now is a cartoon character that you think, well, what are you drawing this for? Is Reasons for Hope? Well, again, this is my art career and kind of my art story. And so so this is a character called the Roller Dog. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go along. But another thing too that I think is a little sad is in the very, very beginning anyway, I didn't really stop to think about the fact that my artwork could be a way to glorify God. and I was just enjoying artwork and drawing. And years later in youth group and that sort of stuff, I started to put that together. That you can draw not just by drawing things from the Bible, but you can draw God's creation and point to an artist that's much, much better than you will ever be, but the best artist of all, and that is our Creator God. But when I was in high school, a roller rink opened up in my hometown, and I was one of the original employees of that roller rink. And the management there asked me to draw their logo, which I kind of adapted from some artwork that they had found already of a dog on a roller skate. And so I thought, well, I'll take that and I'll modify that a bit. He was on all fours, and so I made him standing up, and so we had a character called the Roller Dog at the roller rink. He has a big, big head. I actually had a costume made. One of the sisters of the owners made this really cool roller dog costume, and so a number of people wore it. I wore it at one point. It was a little bit too big for me because I'm not that tall, but it's been a while since I've drawn Roller Dog too, so I might have to make some adjustments here. But Roller Dog was very important to me because it was something that I was drawing for a business, which I happen to work for. And then it turned into this comic strip that I started drawing for them, The Adventures of Roller Dog, and they actually paid to have that published in our local paper. And so every Saturday I would run to get the paper and look, and there was my comic strip in our paper, and it was a thrill to see. Oops, I'm not getting that quite right. Here, let's do this. There we go. It was a thrill to see something of mine published in a paper, which that other people in my area would see. And so that helped. Any exposure like that as an artist really, really helps too. So, and the practice of meeting a deadline, because I had to have that cartoon done earlier that week so it could go in the Saturday paper. And so I had to write the cartoons. I was writing the cartoons. I was producing the cartoon artwork, and I was meeting the deadlines. And so I was a writer and artist, and it got my name out there. And so, well, I'm just really doing a rough job here. So, and then he's got roller skates on, so let's make him smaller. We'll shrink him down a little bit. But so there's opportunities out there that you might not think, as a young artist, if you practice and practice and practice, you might get to a particular point where you can take on jobs that someone like this would have. You don't have to be a pro yet. These younger jobs that you would take on wouldn't necessarily require the skill level of a pro, a seasoned artist. And then, you wouldn't expect to make the kind of money that a seasoned artist does either. But again, I would do it more for the experience and the practice. And then you've got a little published piece that as time goes on, that is something that is very valuable too, because when you're trying to get a job, here's a secret about the art realm that I think more people really need to kind of get a grasp on. And it's the fact that if you're an artist, when you see a job posted for artwork, for an artist position or something like that, a lot of times you'll see these, degrees, like they ask for a degree and this and that and that sort of stuff. Well, the bottom line is for artwork is can you do the job? Can you do the artwork? Whether you've got a degree or not, there's a lot of artists out in the field, I mean pros that are making a living doing artwork that have no art school experience. And I'm not going to say don't go to art school, but that's something you need to explore is do I need to go to art school? Is this student of yours a self-starter? Is this person someone that is they can go to a resource and just suck it dry of knowledge and get a lot of teaching out of that particular thing? Is there an online course that this student could take and benefit from that versus paying a lot of money to go to an art school? And I'm not going to say don't go to the art schools, but I think there's a lot of opportunity for learning resources and such that are available now. And that's much different than when I went to art school. And artists and teachers can be very valuable if you learn best from other people like that. Then you might want to consider going in that direction. But but there's so many resources, websites, and online courses, and all kinds of methods of learning how to draw and how to be a cartoonist or whatever the specialty is that you want to get into. I would really encourage you to look into those avenues. And so let's see, I've got, and then the other thing too that you can do these days that's very, very different from when I was a kid is you don't necessarily have to wait for someone else to come along and say, hey, would you draw, like in this instance, the Roller Dog comic strip. You could make your own feature now, and then you could publish it yourself. You could have a blog or a website or, a YouTube channel or whatever it is. And you can publish these things yourself. And there's lots of other places that say your church has a newsletter and they are looking for some material to publish in their newsletter. Well, if you want to do some Christian cartoons, and a church newsletter would be a great place to publish those in, and so you can get some experience that way. So look for opportunities around people that need artwork. That if you're practicing and you're getting ready to be a young artist, and your skill level is getting to the place that we just went to the county fair last night, and there was a lot of artwork in the fair. There's contests around too that you can enter that would keep you motivated, and sometimes winning a little ribbon or whatever the prize is can be motivational to go do that some more, and then eventually work up to a place where you can earn a living doing it, or even just a side job, like a side interest type of thing. There are opportunities out there, art fairs and craft shows and all that sort of stuff. So let's see, I'm going to figure out how this would work. There we go. So practice. I mean, people say that, practice till it's perfect. Practice till makes perfect. Well, keep practicing. Till the day I am not able to raise a pencil anymore, I will keep practicing, because that's the only way that you grow and you get better. Oh, and here's a couple other things right at the end here is where kind of coming down to our last bit. And I think these are very, very important bits of information. Sometimes people that have a particular skill or gift or talent or whatever you want to call it, again, pride is an awful, awful thing. And it can stunt your growth as an artist. People say, I'm a proud American, I'm a proud this, I'm proud to be this, I'm proud, proud, proud. We need to stop and think about what the Bible says about pride. I'll just throw that your way and you can look into it. But pride can be something that gets in our way, and it can be an awful thing. We can brag and we can think we're all that, and that we deserve things, and it can slow down our learning. And one thing that I'm thankful for is that I have friends that I trust that will critique my artwork. I'll show them my sketches sometimes, and I will I'll ask them, what do you think of that? And I'm honestly not expecting to get the praise, oh Dan, that's a great drawing, I love this, or they laugh. Sometimes it's a cartoon, and so they expect it to be funny. My advice to you is find some people that are close to you and take their critiques. If it's a good critique, it won't just have, hey, I love this, this is great, I love it. It'll be, I think this could be better, or I'm not sure what you mean by this, could you clarify? So people's perceptions are important in artwork because other people look at it. And so be open to criticism. That criticism is gold. It will make you a better artist. If you're just going on your own perception of what is good and all of that sort of stuff, you're gonna not grow as fast. But if you can see from other people's points of view some of the shortcomings of your artwork and then improve on those things, you will grow as an artist much, much faster. And keep that discipline later on. I mean, I'm still with this group of friends, family members or whatever, and I'll show them my sketches and I'll go, what do you think? Sometimes they tell me it stinks, and then I'll go, okay, I think you're right. And we get too close to our artwork sometimes. We don't want anyone touching it or interfering with this great genius idea that I have. But that's not a good place to be in. So have people around you that will critique your artwork and will tell you like it is, and you will benefit from their loving ability to tell you some negative things for your good, and then and that will help you to grow. So if you have any more questions, send them my way, and I'd be happy to come up with more advice for young artist videos. But it is fun to walk down memory lane, and I've got a pile of these original cartoons in my basement of Roller Dog, and it's just fun to look back on those days, and just thankful to God for the blessing of the opportunities that He's put in my path to grow as an artist, and then to eventually work in ministry and make a living supporting my family, and at the same time hopefully benefiting the kingdom of God and encouraging other Christians and challenging non-Christians too to consider the truth that is in God's word. So thank you for joining me today in this little longer extended version of our cartooning lesson live. Join us next time for more cartooning lessons. Have a great weekend.